Hey everybody, today we'll be doing another Dawncaster tutorial today focusing on the warrior. So I think I've already done 4 classes, just missing the warrior and the rogue now, and I think now is as good a time as any to do it. It's a beautiful day here in the UK, nice warm summer, sitting inside with a nice Birra Moretti. So let's go through this together and just draw ourselves a little bit, yeah? So we're gonna go new game. Select the warrior, obviously going to select the best portrait, and because this is a tutorial, we're going to be using the very basics of the class. I will be using the Warmace. So the Warmace is basically your starting weapon on the warrior. You freshly download the game, this is the weapon you're going to have. The Warmace is really straightforward. If you read what it says, it does 2 damage as its base damage, and it inflicts brittle for every damage dealt. What this basically means is every time you deal damage with this, your next hit will basically deal that much damage additionally to its damage. So kind of the more damage you deal, the more damage you deal, right? It just keeps on going. So at the top here, you can see what brittle means. When dealt damage, remove brittle. If the damage was dealt from a melee action, take 1 more damage per stack removed. So if I'm not confusing this, basically the way it works is you hit someone for, let's say, 5 damage, you apply 5 brittle. If you hit them for 5 damage again, it'll actually hit them for 10 damage because it's adding the 5 brittle, but it will remove those brittle. But because we're using Warmace, it'll apply a new amount of brittle. So basically, the more times you whack someone with the Warmace in a row, the more damage they'll take. So that's kind of like the basic fundamental of our game. We're just hitting someone over and over with these Warmaces. So let's select that. We're going to use the starting weapon power. So in Dawncaster, basically, if you're playing the campaign, you get to pick 1 weapon power at the start. We're just going to pick the base loadout again. So we're taking Mending weapon. So you can activate this. It says here at the bottom, usable every 4 combats. So every 4 combats, we can activate this. And what it'll do is we'll gain 1 heart, 1 life for every melee action in our deck. So this can kind of just sustain us between fights. Select. And we're also going to take sort of the default special starting card, which in this case is Backswing. So Backswing makes a basic attack. What that means is that it will play our basic attack, the Warmace, and it will also additionally, if we have fulfilled this flanking condition, we'll gain 1 haste. Okay, so you're getting a lot of keywords thrown at you right now. Don't get overwhelmed by all of these. There's many keywords. A lot of them are really intuitive. You'll pick them up as you go. But what flanking means is that it means this card is either at the leftmost or the rightmost position in your hand. So one of the 2 extremes. You can see that at the top of the screen here, right? Flanking triggers when this card is played from either the leftmost or rightmost position in the hand. Now, what does haste do? If we fulfill this flanking condition, we gain 1 haste. Haste will reduce the cost of the next drawn card by 1 energy. So for instance, our Warmace, you can see here at the top left, these 2 gray things, that means it costs 2 energy. If we have 1 haste and we draw the Warmace, it'll be reduced to 1 energy. So basically this is a way of getting another Warmace hit in, inflicting more brittle, and making the next card we draw cost a bit less energy. So let's select that. We're not going to be playing on Impossible, we're going to be playing on Normal. We're going to be selecting next map because we're just going to be running through the default game, so no DLC base levels. And I'm also going to be deactivating all of the card packs. So there are lots and lots of good cards in these card packs for the Warmace Warrior. However, just to keep the complexity down and keep this run relatively straightforward so we can just focus on the basic mechanics of the game, I am deactivating these. If you are trying to figure out which packs you should have activated for any given build, you can click on these little eyeballs here, and it will tell you how many cards are in the set and what kind of builds are supported by that set. So for instance, the card set Meta Progress has 83 cards. The keywords in this one include Swap, Flow, Sinister, Totems, and Darkness. Metamorphosis is 128. It is Perform, Cascade, Corrupted, etc. Basically, we're just going to deactivate all of these. Just keep it straightforward. There's a lot to learn in this game. You will do yourself a favor by just keeping it at the minimum. This game is absolutely beatable on normal with just the basic cards 100%. It's more about game knowledge and smarts than having a massive card pool. So let's start the game. Canto 1, The Weeping Woods. So I'm just going to be clicking through all the story stuff. I've seen it a million times. It's pretty cool to read. When you're playing on your own, I recommend reading through it. There's some funny stuff in there, some little character bits. Let's just go right through it. All right, so basics of Dawncaster. The way this works, if you've played something like Slay the Spire, you might already be vaguely familiar with roguelikes. In Slay the Spire, you have like a map, right, that branches out. So you pick one encounter that may branch into 2 or 3 other ones, and then you go from there. The way Dawncaster works is there is what is called an event deck. So every canto, which is like a level, has a set amount of cards in it. I don't know how many it is, like 20, 30. And they will get dealt out. So it's always 3 at a time. So in this case, on the left, we have an enemy, the Stinger Spider. In the middle, we have an opportunity. On the right, we have an opportunity again. So if we click on the Stinger Spider on the left, we'll go into a fight, right? We'll fight this spider. And then the other two, the 2 opportunities, as you can see in the description here, it says treasury, traps, or treachery await. So this might be something good, but it can also have a downside. In this case, I'm going to go for one of the opportunities first, because unlike every other card type, you might notice this later, if you do not pick opportunities, they do not get shuffled back into the event deck. So if you pay close attention to the animation, when I click on this opportunity in the middle, the one on the right is kind of going to disintegrate, a bit like, you know, the characters in Marvel when they get Thanos snapped, it's going to disintegrate, whereas you're going to see an animation on this Stinger Spider on the left that it's going to get shuffled back into the deck, which means later on it will eventually be dealt out again and we can fight him again. So let's go. Cool. I don't know if you saw that. You can go back and look at it again. So this is the Fallen Soldier event. There's tons of different events. It's kind of impossible to know what they do unless you've just done them once. I kind of know from having played this game quite a bit what they each do, but this is really a game of, there's a lot of memorization and just knowledge and stuff you just cannot know. In that sense, it's a bit old school, you know, there's a bit of exploration that you just have to do to know things. In this case, I'm going to remove one of my basic attacks. So I think when you freshly download this game and you've not leveled up any of your characters, I think you start the game with 6 basic attacks. As you can see, I only have 5. The reason I have leveled up and I have fewer attacks is that in general, you don't actually want to have too many basic attacks. So there's usually like a sweet spot depending on the build between like 2 to 3. There are some builds where you remove all of them, and there are actually some builds where you want even more than the base amount. But in this case, with this build, I'm totally fine getting rid of one of these, because while the Warmaces are good, there are other cards that are simply better, and I would rather have more of those than dilute my deck with the Warmaces. So here's another new card type that we haven't seen before, the Shrine. So the Shrine does get shuffled back into the deck. It does not disappear like the Opportunity, but there's basically a few different Shrine colors. Here you have the green one. There's also like purple, red, orange. Might be another one there that I'm missing. And they all do something slightly different. If you click on them, you can read a description that might give you a hint as to what they are doing. But until you've actually used them, you won't quite know what they do. In this case, I'm going to go for the opportunity first, because again, if I do not pick the opportunity, it gets deleted and I lose the possibility of maybe getting something good from it. Push the tree aside. I'm going to take the case that I found inside the tree. And I get a free stand your ground. So this is a really good card if you're playing an armor build. Unfortunately, we are not. Oh, that was a mistake and a misclick. I should have not done that. So what I just did there, great learning moment for you, is at the bottom right, I clicked on my weapon power. Now the reason I did that is I thought we were going to go into battle soon, but I forgot that our weapon power is essentially a defensive weapon power, which is used for healing yourself in between combats. Now I was already at full life, so I've completely wasted that. However, that will not be a big deal. Okay, Lost Soul. So we can remove a random card. I don't think we have anything in here that we don't necessarily mind losing, so I'm just going to light a candle. Removed one of our block cards, gave us a free heal. Again, we were at full health, didn't really matter. Let's take the coins. I think we get to fight a raven if we take these. There we go. Okay, so this is the first time we're fighting an enemy. I'm just going to give a very basic breakdown of everything you can see here on the combat screen. So at the bottom are our cards, right? That's straightforward. Then down here, we've got 2 little red energy. That's how much energy we have. Energy is like mana in any other game. Then bottom left is our little character, 95 life, you can see that. At the top, the big 18, at the middle at the top is our opponent's health. On the left, do you see those two little swords with the red cards? Those are the next cards that our opponent is about to play. So each sort of type of card has a card shape. So the red one is basically just like a normal attack. Then there's kind of a cog wheel that sort of represents some sort of like supportive magic or something that will like boost their strength for a later attack or give them some kind of ability like that. Then there's green cards, which is shield, which are defensive ones that might give them evasion or healing. And then one that we'll see later are these kind of dark black ones with the red skull, which is like the deadly attacks. This is sort of your opponent's ultimate attack. And most, but not all, creatures have some kind of ultimate attack. And these are usually their best attack. It'll do the most damage. And you want to try and avoid getting hit by these if you can, though it's not totally possible. Then here at the top right, do you see this little like blue thing at the top right underneath the health bar? These are basically your opponent's enchantments and current abilities and passives. So this Raven, for instance, if you click on this, it tells you the Raven has this flying ability. So it gains 1 evasion every time you take damage. I'm going to play one of my cards. So this will cost me 2 energy. Boom. And our opponent at the top right now has these 2 symbols, one red, one like cyan green. So the red one is the brittle we've applied, right? This is what I spoke about earlier. So we've inflicted brittle for every damage dealt. We dealt 3 damage, we've inflicted 3 brittle. So our next attack will do 3 more damage when it hits. And this Raven, from its flying ability, has also gained a 1 evasion. So that's this. Evasion basically means that one dealt melee damage, reduce the first damage taken to 0. So basically he'll just dodge our next melee attack. We're out of energy anyhow though, so we'll just pass the turn by clicking on this thing at the bottom right. Now it's our opponent's turn. So now they're going to play their attack. Swoop does 2 damage, and another swoop does another 2 damage. You can see at the bottom left, we've lost a total of 4, but that is all fine. We're going to play these surges. So each one of the colors has these surges. They all do something slightly different. They all give you 1 energy of the color and then have another side effect. So if I play these, I play 2 of them. You see how I now have 4 energy. I gain 2 life. Now I'm going to play that. And I'll show you what the evasion does now. So you see how our opponent has 5 brittle. Our Warmace does 3 damage. So in theory, 5 plus 3 should do 8 damage. But because the Sharp Claw Raven has 1 evasion, if I play this, you'll see evade. It did 0 damage, but our opponent lost its evasion. So I kind of just wasted my attack and my energy there trying to attack into the evasion. However, it's worth noting that the evasion fades at the end of the opponent's turn. So if you just don't attack them, it will disappear, and then you'll have another opportunity to attack them in your next turn. I'll just bop this guy down. So in general, I'm going to take Siphoning Strike here. So this is a good card to sustain yourself through the game. I'll explain what the Frenzy thing does later. Oh, here's another new thing, the campsite. So a campsite is like, I don't know, you guys ever played Dark Souls or like, I mean, basically it's any video game, right? What does a campsite do? It's a place you sit down, you regenerate your health, you level up, whatever. At a campsite, you can either remove cards from your deck or you can heal health. We're not hurt enough that we want to go there yet. And even though there are a few cards I would already like to remove from our deck, I'm going to save it for later and just go ahead and tackle the Stinger Spider. So 1 energy, hit him with the mace. I'm not even going to bother with this armor. I think we're going to have enough sustain to just tank these hits from our opponents, especially because we just picked up this Siphoning Strike card. So Siphoning Strike, 2 energy ability, it deals 6 damage, but what kind of makes this card good is this thing at the bottom and has this Frenzy ability that says to gain 10% of your maximum health. So what Frenzy means, it says here at the top, Frenzy is active when you've taken damage during your turn. So warriors are sort of a weird class in the sense that they kind of have the most, or the easily accessible, the most easily accessible sustain in the game, if not even the best, but they often have to hurt themselves first to get it. And they have quite a few ways of doing that. So at the moment, I do not have any abilities to do that. But later on, we might be able to find a card that inflicts damage to ourselves so we can trigger these frenzy abilities. There are also quite a few ways that you can take damage during your turn from enemy abilities. So you don't necessarily have to kind of build around doing it yourself. Some enemy abilities will naturally trigger your sustain. Oh, by the way, you see how I just played that card that gave us flanking, the one that I selected at the beginning, if you remember this one here at the top right. So I played that, and you see here at the bottom, I now have a little sign ability. So this is now 1 haste. I can click on that and it'll explain what it does. So reduce the cost of the next drawn card by 1 energy, decrease haste by 1. So you'll see, I'm passing to my opponent. My opponent plays their cards. And now the haste will disappear. But do you see how my Warmace on the very less now costs 1 energy instead of 2? So this basically means that this turn, I can play 2 Warmace, maces, instead of just 1. However, remember that is not permanent. So that mace will now go back into our deck, and when we draw it again later, it'll cost 2 energy again. There are ways to permanently reduce the energy cost of cards, but haste is not one of them. That's only a temporary boost. Oh, one other thing I don't think I mentioned earlier is that, do you see how in the middle, underneath our opponent's 1 health here, there are a total of 5 circles that look kind of like energy dots? When I pass the turn, those are going to fill up partially. If you look closely now, the two ones on the left here are already partially filled in. That's how much energy your opponent is going to have next turn. So your opponents don't actually have unlimited energy either. And there are actually ways to reduce the amount of energy your opponent has available per turn. So you see they had 2 energy, they had 2 cards that cost 1 energy, so they played both of them. But we should be able to easily kill them here. Very nice, 30 XP. 3 cards, not taking any. You might have noticed that after the last fight, I also didn't take any. This is because don't just take cards because they're offered to you. You are playing a specific build that is trying to do something. Just because a card is given to you doesn't mean that it's good, right? At the beginning, when you start playing the game, it is very, very hard to know what cards are actually good for your build. It's really just a matter of experience and playing the game. But in this case, I can tell you none of these 3 are very interesting to us. I'm just going to pass. Go for the opportunity again before it disappears. The Forge. Okay, we can throw a weapon in the fire. I'm going to throw away another one of these basic attacks. I think we can eventually make do with only having 2 or 3 of these. Okay, so there's another 2 new things here that have popped up. On the left here, we have this Healthy Tusk board. You see how he kind of has this aggro red text with this little skull. And then on the far right, we have the Traveler. So these kind of like blue things, like the Traveler, those are sort of like the story things. You have to click on those to progress the level. And then the Healthy Tusk board on the side here, this is like a mini boss. And do you see how he has this screaming skull on top of his head that's sort of emanating this red pulsing material? So what that means is that this Healthy Tusk board has a kind of like an enchantment, an aura, that he is basically bestowing onto all of the other creatures within this selection of 3 cards. So were there, let's say, a raven or a spider within the same 3 selection, his aura, his benefit would be given to them as well. So if we do not fight and kill the Healthy Tusk boar, the other enemies will be stronger. So what I would say is let's go fight the Healthy Tusk boar. Let's kill him so he can't buff our other enemies. So again, another short rundown of the combat mode. Do you see at the top left how there's now this little red card with the skull for our opponent? Top left here. That's his deadly attacks. That's the Healthy Tusk boar's kind of like strongest, like character defining ability. So unfortunately, there's not really much we can do here. I think we're just going to get hit by that. So we just have to pass and let him gore us with his tusks a bit. Yeah, so he hit us pretty hard there. Dealt a little bit of bleeding. Oh, actually, I just had a card there in my deck that I should show later to you guys, because that is actually a card that will help us trigger our frenzy. Yeah, so you know how just before I took that one event that said it was called the Forge, and I threw a weapon into the Forge? When you throw the weapon in, the weapon gets consumed, removed from your deck, but also gets replaced by a random card. In this case, it got replaced by Sanguine Surge. So it it gains us 2 energy, but also takes 2 damage. And at first you think like, oh, that sucks. Why am I taking 2 damage? But look what happens. Do you see this Sanguine Strike on the left that has this yellow border? The second I play this and take damage on my turn, the border has turned green. That means the frenzy mode is now like activated. So when I play this, if you look at the bottom left where it says 64 on my character, the character health, it's going to heal me for 10% of my maximum health. Boom, 9 health. Amazing. So that's like one great way to sustain yourself through the game. I'm going to pick this Battlecry card. This is probably one of my favorite warrior cards of all time. It's super cheap. It really does a lot for what it is, which is a completely free card, essentially. And if you can consistently trigger Frenzy, it is one of the best cards in your deck. It's really good to have multiples up. So you can see this also has a Frenzy condition at the bottom. This gives us 1 red energy and it gives us Rally, which I'll explain later. But if we have Frenzy, it also draws the cards. It's free and it will essentially just replace itself. So if you have like 10 of those in your deck, every time you draw one, you just know you're getting a free energy, 1 Rally, which heals you. And then you get to just continue smashing face. So you see we're making pretty short work of all these enemies. Nothing interesting here. I'll just plow through all of these and try and get to the first mini-boss. Got evasion. No point hitting. Okay. So yeah, these ravens are a little bit annoying to deal with because if you don't have 3 melee attacks you can play in a turn, they're always going to evade the second one. So you kind of just need to pass. But yeah, it's not like they do a lot of damage or anything. Okay, our first level up. Very cool. So this is where we get to pick our first talent. So talents can be like, some of them are so good. They can totally define your build. So you will always initially be given 3. But then here on the right, you have these little re-rolls. And if you click on these, you can see new ones. And you can always do like 2 or 3 re-rolls. I think maybe the Seeker gets to do more. But I'm going to re-roll the ones I'm not too interested in. Smithing's not that great. Demolisher's okay. Survival Instinct's not interested. Objection. Sorry about that. Objection. Yeah, we don't have any cards that interrupt at the moment. I'm going to let that one fly. Durable, I really don't care about. I'm just going to take Demolisher. So what this does is enemies start with vulnerable equal to your strength. Vulnerable basically just means that your opponents take more damage from you. So we'll just be doing more damage. Isn't that great? Okay, we're going to go to one of these shrines for the first time. So here, if you click on Investigate, it'll sort of give you an ominous explanation of what the shrine might do. I already know what this does. I can infuse the energy of a card, which basically will upgrade it the amount of times that it costs energy. So Siphoning Strike costs 2 energy. It'll upgrade it twice. And it'll also change the energy cost from colored energy to gray, aka like neutral energy. So if you're playing a build that has multiple energy types, that can be really beneficial. So if you have a card that costs like 3 blue, you can make it cost 3 generic, and then you can also use your like red energy to pay for it. Might be familiar to some of you if you've played something like Magic the Gathering before. I think maybe even Pokemon's energy system might work like that. I never really played Pokemon. Oh, so you see now we've activated the Frenzy thing. I play Battlecry, boom, I get to draw a free card. You might notice that I'm never playing this Stand Your Ground card. That's because this is a card that's sort of for a different kind of warrior build. I just sort of unfortunately have it in my deck at the moment, just taking up space. However, I can transmute it into something else later and change it, kind of gamble and try and change it into a card that's a bit better for my build. However, what I'm going to quickly show you what this is how this works differently from other cards. Do you see at the bottom here it says enchantment? If I play this, it just gets attached to my character for the rest of the game. Do you see how it's kind of just here in the middle of the screen now next to this little cyan rally symbol? Basically, for the rest of this fight against this opponent, it will just stay there. It does not go back into my deck. I don't need to draw it again. It's just like an aura. I mean, it's an enchantment. And so I can just benefit from it for the rest of the fight. There are ways to permanently attach these enchantments to your character. so that you will start with them imbued to your character at the beginning of every fight, and you never have to kind of play them again. So there is a character later, a camp follower essentially, that we can pick up who will do this for us. So let's see if we can't just kill these guys quickly. I think we're almost at the first boss of Canto 1. Take another Battlecry. Such an all-star classic. All right, the first boss, the Weeping Mother. So she's kind of annoying. She can stun you, and she heals herself over time. However, I'm going to say that we're a lot stronger than her. Even though we haven't really done too much to our build, I think we've already picked up a few key cards to do what we want to do. I'm also just going to play the stand your ground, even though I said it's not doing much because we're not an armor build. By playing it, we're also going to avoid drawing it later. And I kind of feel like we have enough headroom to do that right now. Alright, so she's putting little spiders in our deck. This is something you're going to see a bit in this game, is that opponents can put like negative cards into your deck. Most of them are just temporary, as in like once you draw them for the first time, they just play themselves automatically, do damage to you or something, and then get removed. However, there is a small subset of them that do not go away. Alright, first boss down. War Paint is actually quite interesting. I'm going to take War Paint, because with that we can end up doing more damage later. Explore the area some more, so we still have all these campsites. I'm going to use these to get rid of some cards that I don't want. Use one of them to heal myself. Remove. I'm going to get rid of another one of these actually. And I'm also going to get rid of one of the surges for now. I'm holding on to that stand your ground because I want to change to something else later. I'm also going to use this to heal myself. All right, Canto 1 done in a record-breaking time of 27 minutes. Absolutely not at all. So the first, Cantos 2 and 4 are both this town, and in this town you can heal yourself, you can buy cards, you can transmute stuff, the Alchemist. So I'm going to change a card to one of higher rarity, take this stand your ground, and I'm going to get a few options presented here. I'm going to take the Elite Weaponry. I like that card. This Blacksmith can upgrade our stuff. Not super interested in that. Remember, click on the blue stuff to forward the story. I'm going to go to the Blacksmith. I'm not going to use any of his upgrade stuff, but what you're going to notice is, you might have to rewind for this, is if you... Did you see how my weapon power has now been restored? Normally that would take 4 combats to do, but if you go to the Weaponsmith, or the Blacksmith, it will automatically reset your weapon power no matter how many turns you have left. We're going to be sticking to the core levels here. I'm going to ignore all the DLC stuff and just run it down all the core levels. I'm trying to imagine I'm sort of with you just discovering this game. You haven't bought any of the DLCs yet. You're figuring it all out. You're having great fun. So this center... Okay, I probably shouldn't have used that already, but such a bad habit of thinking I have an aggressive weapon talent I need to activate before I fight. This middle guy, Crimson Tracker, you can see he has the same thing as the angry Tuskboar before. He's got this ability on top of his head. If we do not defeat him first, he will apply his ability to other opponents, and we'll have to deal with them later with his ability imbued. So, let's see what we can get done here. Oh, he had evasion, didn't he? So do you see how our opponent now has this red thing, this vulnerable, applied to him before we've even really done anything? This is from this Demolisher talent we picked earlier. So they're taking 20% more damage just because. Let's take the Scythe. So what that Scythe was, why it showed me 3 different weapons there, is, you know that card I just picked up before, the Elite Weaponry or whatever it was called? When you take that and you activate it, you get to pick one of 3 special weapons to add to your deck, and I've added the Scythe. This is actually something very important to explain for the Warrior. Do you see these Fury cards? So these are very, very, like, I would almost argue that the entire warrior class is built around anger and the fury card. I don't think there is a single warrior build that would ever turn down fury. This thing is so broken. There are so many ways to build around it. And to me, it just defines this entire character. So it does 3 things, a fury card. You gain 1 anger, you take 1 damage, and you draw a card. So what does anger do? If you have 1 anger, all of your abilities that do like direct damage will do 1 more damage. You have 10 anger, they do 10 more damage, etc., etc., etc. It does 1 damage to you. At first you think that sucks, but what does taking damage do? It activates your frenzy. So you take 1 damage, but then you can use a card like that sword attack that heals us and gain 10 back. It's such a good trade. And then what does it do as well? It draws a card, and look at the top left of the card. There's no energy. It's completely free. So I can just draw through the deck using these things. And in case you're wondering where I was getting them from, sorry, this is from that card that I added to the deck earlier, Warpaint. You can see how it says shuffle 3 fury cards to your discard pile, then draw a card. So, sorry, every time I play that card, I put 3 fury cards into my deck, which I can draw later. Easy kill. I'll take another Battlecry. I mean, why not? So I'm not going into too much depth on how to defeat separate enemies in this run. I fundamentally believe that when you're playing on normal, if you just stick to a good build, you can defeat every enemy without thinking about them too much. And I know I'm probably underselling the fact that I have a decent amount of game knowledge from having played this so much, so I'm kind of playing around mechanics that I am aware of that a new player probably wouldn't be. But I think if you just keep your build lean on normal and you just play your cards in the right order, you will always be fine. Okay, so this is the first mini boss of this area, Matriarch Daisy. She's kind of interesting. You know what? Actually, I'll explain a little mechanic here. So she basically gives herself 1 anger every turn, and she has this ability where she'll always life drain. So whenever she does damage to you, she'll heal herself for the same amount. And because she gains 1 anger each turn, she'll heal more and more and do more and more damage. So you kind of have to kill her as quickly as you can, because eventually your healing will start to outpace how much damage you can do to her. Clobber. I'll take Clobber. The Clobber is really good because it basically means that your Fury cards give you more anger than they normally would. Opportunity. So, you know how I said before, sometimes your opponents will put negative cards into your deck and then when you play them, they disappear? I've just picked up this Greed card, which is a negative card in my deck that will not disappear. When I draw it, I just take a bunch of damage. So this card kind of really sucks to have into your deck. However, I'm going to show you why even this card that is unplayable can actually be really, really, really good to have in your deck as a warrior. Because just like every other card in this game, you can transmute it, change it into something else that is potentially beneficial to you. And that is something that we can definitely do with that card. Another Battlecry. I will have a deck of 100 Battlecries by the end of this. Transform a card. All right, I'm going to transform this Greed, the one that I was just slagging off. Let's see. So, Greeds will always transmute into a Sanguine Scrying among other options. Sanguine Scrying, draw 2 cards, gain 2 bleeding. And you see how it has this dark red energy at the top left? That means that That means that we're paying life to cast this. So we'll be paying 3 life to cast this. But again, we're trying to trigger our Frenzy state, right? So we can activate our Frenzy cards. So, random rare, Bull Rush, great rare. So we're trying to trigger our Frenzy. So this card will not only trigger our Frenzy, it also draws cards. Isn't that amazing? Very good. Go for the opportunities first and you see them. Oh, the Collector. So the Collector is one of the coolest camp followers. You can basically give him cards, and depending on the rarity of the card, he will sort of give you something in return. If you give him a card of the maximum rarity, he will give you a free talent. This is really, 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 really strong. At the moment, yeah, there's nothing I really, really want to give him. I'm just going to give him Backswing. I don't really care about Backswing, so he's not going to give us a great reward because that's a pretty low rarity card. If you don't understand how the rarities work, do you see here on the left of each card name, so at the top starting at Bull Rush, there's a little blue diamond, then we get down to Healing Potion, it's green, down to Battlecry, it turns like bronze. Those are the rarities. So like the Battlecry bronze rarity is the lowest, green's the next, blue is the one over that, and then the one on top of that is the it's like kind of a golden oranges, that's the highest rarity. So there's 4 rarities in the game at the moment. And if you give the Collector one of the highest rarity cards from your deck, he removes it from your deck, but he gives you a random talent, which can be absolutely amazing. Get clobbered. All right, second level up. Shield Master. Endless Arsenal, maybe. Bloodlust, we're not a bleeding build. That's not going to do much for us. Benevolent, your healing effects restore 2 additional health during combat. Really good talent. Really, really good talent. It just makes your sustain a lot more reliable. That's really all there is to it. We're going to go to the Blacksmith, by the way. You know how I said earlier, you go to the Blacksmith, it resets your weapon power. Pay attention. You see at the bottom right, it says 3 on our weapon power. That means 3, I can't use this power again, or I can use this power again after 3 more battles. I go to the Blacksmith. You don't even have to use any of his abilities, though in this case I will. I'm upgrading all my basic attacks, and my basic attack, sorry, my weapon power will have refreshed itself. So that's really good, because there are some, like, there's this, I think the Seeker has this one, I'm just going to consume one of these healing potions. They're kind of taking up my deck slots. There is this one Seeker talent that has a 20 battle cooldown. So I don't think the game really expects you to actually wait 20 combats to do it. I think the game is more just like, hey, why don't you just go see the Blacksmith about that? Surge Stone, cool card if you can upgrade it. I'm just going to take another Sanguine Scrying. We're just going to draw through this deck. We're just going to bop people to death. I think at this point, the fundamental of our deck is already set up. We have card draw, we have healing, we have energy generation, we just have everything, to be honest. This is really why I think overall the Warrior is definitely my favorite class. Whenever I play the Sunforge mode, if I'm not feeling super spicy, I always just go for the Warrior. I just think the Warrior's weapons just feel good. The healing feels good. Everything about the Warrior just feels good. Very straightforward. Oh, another Sanguine Scrying. Oh my god, we're just going to be drawing through our deck turn after turn. Talking Tree. Okay, so this is probably, I think, the first time so far in the game where we get to a story, a point in the story where we actually get to make a choice in terms of what we want to do. I am going to start, I'm going to check the man's boots. So this basically plunders gold from him, and then I'm going to cut the ropes. This means that he will be added as a camp follower once we get to the next level. I'll let you figure out for yourself what the other options do, but there is some funny stuff in this game. In terms of, like, if you just pick a slightly different dialogue choice, you can get a totally different outcome from a situation. Ooh, okay. All right. You see, we're just drawing cards. We're dealing damage. The opponent can't even do anything. Heavy swing, slightly tempting, but not really. We're already at the boss, Garvin Greaves. So Garvin's speciality is bleeding. Basically what bleeding does is, let's say you have 3 bleeding, someone hits you for 1 damage, it'll do 4 damage. So it basically just adds damage to you. for enemy attacks. Scythe, Warmace, healing. Okay, Garvin, show us what you got. Just playing on my card draw first, just to see the maximum amount of cards before we start swinging at the opponent. Get wrecked, get wrecked, get wrecked. And we leave that Canto with almost full life. So I'm going to finish him. And here's another little story moment where you get to choose what you want to do. I'm going to invite the bandits back as... No, I'm going to make them work for me, actually. And they're going to offer me a card now. I'm actually going to take the Crimson Knuckles. Explore the area some more. Just something we want to remove from here. Yes, let's remove this Surge. This is not doing anything anymore. Is there anything else? I'm almost tempted to remove another one of the Warmaces, but that feels a bit greedy almost, doesn't it? All right, go to the campsite, heal myself back up to full. Now I'm going to go to the Alchemist. It's nothing I want to transmute at the moment. All right, back to Bright Candle. So talk to Consul Evelyn. I'm gonna go to the Merchant. So at the Merchant you can buy cards. He's always got a bunch of cards you can look at here. And then if you refresh stock, he'll give you a different selection. I'm gonna refresh stock, nothing super interesting here for me. I'll buy another Battlecry. Oh, I love a good Battlecry. That's actually fine for me. I go to the Blacksmith. I'm gonna upgrade all my basics again. I'm gonna leave the area. No, I healed myself when I shouldn't have. Running down the core levels, yeah, as I said before. So, Bulgur Blightbane. So this level is all about poison. Poison is it's a funny little mechanic because it has quite a few facets that are quite interesting. So on the surface of it, let's say you get poisoned, right? And you have 10 poison on you. And let's say I play a card. Every card I play, my poison will get reduced by 1 and I'll take 1 damage. So I play 1 card, poison goes down to 9, I take a damage. It's straightforward, right? However, let's say I have 10 poison on me and I heal for 5. Instead of healing for 5, it'll reduce my poison by 5. So it also prevents you from sort of healing yourself. And then even though normally each point of poison only does 1 damage, you can upgrade how much damage each tick of poison does. Let's say I have 10 poison, or sorry, my opponent has 10 poison, and I have upgraded my poison to do, let's say, 5 damage per tick. They play 1 ability, the poison will go from 10 to 9, but they'll actually take 5 damage instead of 1. I'll just kill this guy. Oh. Fluffed it. Okay, well, they've only got 2 life. These frogs can be a bit nasty, by the way. They have this one attack that does damage based on their maximum health or current health. I forget. I'll take any of these cards. Ooh, the Merchant. Ooh, Battle Vigor. That's a very good one. So these are enchantment, right? I'm going to buy Battle Vigor. I'm also going to buy Savagery. Yeah, so you can buy multiple things like that. Oh, mini boss, Noxlight Troll. Let's go straight for him. So, you know how I said before with the enchantments, how you can imbue them onto yourself? So later on in this level, we will be obtaining the Camp Follower who, oh, that was the wrong way around, who will give us the ability to imbue our enchantments permanently. It's pretty costly. It's 100 gold per enchantment and then 50 gold extra for each one following. So 100, 150, 200, 250, etc. But if you're not spending too much money, that should really be pretty fine. Oh, this Noxlight Troll is getting absolutely wrecked by our build. Fury, fury. Oh, I should play the Crimson Knuckles one more time just to get a bit more gold. Okay, so this is the third level up in the game. This is the most important one in the game because this is where you get to pick another talent that supplies you with energy. In our case, because we're a warrior, we're just gonna be picking greater strength. If you're the Arcanist, you'll pick intellect. If you're the rogue, probably dexterity. If you're one of the hybrid classes, you can choose. I'll re-roll these. Brute force is a great talent. Like having more energy is better than anything else in the game. There are a few builds where you might not pick one of the energies. By the way, this is the only point in the game where you can pick one of these like greater energy abilities, is when you have your third level up. So, you know, use it wisely. But those builds are few and far between, and they're usually a bit more advanced. It's usually stuff involving holy energy, which is the like quote unquote secret fourth type of energy in the game. There's the yellow energy, which is used for very specific holy builds. Take another Sanguine Scrying. Again, I don't really see why you wouldn't take more Sanguine Scryings. Torn Cloth. Oh, so this enemy, the Stray Lights, do you see this little thing they have here? It's called Ethereal. This basically means that when you do damage to them, if you don't outright kill them, they will regenerate that by the end of the turn. I'll kind of show you what I mean. So I'll hit them with this Warmace. Do you see how they only have 5 health left? I'm going to pass the turn. Boom. They're going to go back to full health. However, turn after turn, they will lose 5 maximum health. So even if you can't, if you're playing like some kind of slow draining build, like a rogue, even if you can't outright kill them, they will eventually just kill themselves. Barbarism. Oh, there's so many good enchantments here, but I'm just going to skip that. I already have enough. I'm just going to kill all these Stray Lights. I think you need to kill 3 of them to get to the end boss. Sanguine Scrying. Battlecry, Battlecry, Battlecry. Crimson Knuckles. So, I know I'm doing this pretty quickly, but basically what I'm doing is I'm playing all the cards that draw me cards and give me anger before I play any of my damage cards. Why is that? Because if I have more anger, I do more damage, and if I draw more cards, I get to see more options, and I might find something better. Easy. Furious Recovery, very cool card if you can upgrade it. I just don't think I need it right now. Oh, actually, you know what? I could have taken it to give it to the collector. I probably should have thought about that. Yeah, so the collector, if he appears to you in one canto, he'll probably appear for you in the other cantos. I think it's actually almost guaranteed. Well, not guaranteed, but it's highly likely. Warmace. I'm just gonna try and stack some brittle. Yeah, so our opponent's poisoning us. Stack some energy, get some damage in, heal us a little bit. Don't need those cards. Opportunity. Oh, Potbelly Dimp, I love this. So he basically takes like 10 or 20 of your maximum HP, but imbues a random enchantment for you. This can be really risky though, because the enchantments he gives you, they can just all be really bad for you, and you will have like kind of gained nothing. But you know what? We love gambling. Sure, let's deal. You always go for it. Oh, and we got Barbarism. So Barbarism will basically give us more Fury cards. So we're going to get more anger, do more damage, sustain more. Beautiful run. This is a beautiful run. That was a great Potbelly Dimp. It's all coming together. I'm going to be honest. I don't really see how it goes wrong from here. This is like, we've got all the cracked pieces together. It's actually funny that there's a lot of card drawing going on when you're playing the warrior. I don't know, I guess in my head I just think a warrior would just have like one big dumb card you just smash someone's face in with, but it's actually quite involved, just kind of clicking through all the different cards. Very good. Oh, another Battlecry. Won't say no. The only reason not to take Battlecries is if you kind of tire of playing them just to draw more cards. But I almost feel like mathematically speaking, a deck of just 400 Battlecries and like one attack card is probably the best warrior deck ever made. Bam. Sharpening Stone. This is like a one-use upgrade for one of your basic attacks. Why not? Shrine of Stability. Oh, this gives something reliable, right? I think. I give it to this. So reliable is really cool. You know how I was saying before there's like frenzy and flanking and all these conditions that need to be met for these things to work? If you make a card reliable, these conditions are met irrespective of if you have fulfilled them. So you don't need to fulfill any, you don't need to take any damage for to trigger frenzy. Nothing like that. It's just always on. Another thing that reliable does that's really, really good is there are some opponents in the game that can sort of take control of your character from you. But if you have reliable, you can play the cards through being stun locked. Okay, so I'm taking elite weaponry here just to give it to the collector. Oh yeah, marvelous, what gem you found. So he's going to give me a free talent. Sacred Shield. It's not bad. So Sacred Shield basically makes you impervious for the first round of the game. So see, I have this cool little impervious here one now. So the first direct attack that our opponent does to us actually won't do anything to us. Okay, stacking up that energy, stacking up that energy. All right, shows what you got, Bulgar. You're almost dead. I'll give you one turn to impress me. Not very impressive. Get smashed. All right, another level up. Fast recovery. I mean, Bloodlust, not really. Craftsman, that's interesting. Epiphany, no. Shieldmaster, no. So Craftsman could be cool. It's basically whenever we upgrade a card, it gets upgraded twice. It's not bad. Another War Paint. Nah, I'm fine. So Bulgar, now that we actually talk to him, we find out he's a pretty cool dude. And he joins us. Isn't that nice? Yeah, stuff's all good. I can use the rest of my campfires to heal myself. Leave the area and go to the next core level, the Amber Mines. You know, one of you guys is watching this in like the year 2026. If this game is still around, I really hope it is. You're going to see my meager selection of 3 levels here, and you're going to be like, whoa. The developers have added so much cool content to this since then. And big shout out to the devs at this game. Like, they're constantly adding really, really cool DLCs. They add like free card packs. I don't know. This is really a game that transcends what I think a mobile game usually is. You know, when you think mobile game, you think like pay to win. You think those like you know when you go on YouTube and you watch a video and it gives you those crappy ads where it's like someone kind of running a soldier down a highway and there's just like random zombies coming at them and he shoots at like piles of weapons to upgrade them and they're just clearly some fake reaction YouTuber fake reacting to something and it's just total bullshit. This game is the most opposite of that I think you can possibly. This is generally a game made by people who understand what makes the game interesting, what keeps people around, and just understand good game design. I don't really think there's any other way to put it. I really hope that one day they release it on PC, because I know that's a step that Slay the Spire eventually took, and I think that would really help this game become exposed to a whole new audience. I just really want to see this game grow. It's so good. It's the kind of game you can really spend hundreds if not thousands of hours with, just kind of figuring out all the builds. So again, I'm playing on my card draw, I'm playing on my energy generating cards first. Basically killing the opponent in our first turn at this point. So I think our build's already like pretty much come together. Like I said, I'm basically ignoring the enemy's mechanics at this point. I am maybe slightly cockily so convinced of the superiority of this build that we've assembled together. And I don't think that many enemies are going to pose much of a threat to us anymore on normal. But I remember when I first downloaded this game, I don't know how many weeks it took me to finally get to the final level for the first time. And oh my god, I was so hyped when I did it. So don't be discouraged if this game is just a tiny little bit complex at the beginning. It gets so good once you spend some time with it. Ooh, a new shrine. Shrine of Levity. Oh, this one's really cool. So we can decrease the cost of one of the cards in our deck by 1. I think War Paint would be a really good one for that. Okay, so here's the enchanters. This is Bulgur Blightbane, right? The poison guy we fought in the last level. You take him. You imbue an enchantment. I'm paying 100 gold. I'm going to take Savagery. So going forward, every battle I start, you see Savagery is now just permanently imbued. It's not my deck. I don't need to play it. It doesn't get shuffled in. It does not cost me energy. For the low price of cough cough 100 gold, that too can be yours. So Surge Stone, tempting. I just think we've probably gone far enough without needing it. Trapped in Amber. Yeah, just kill all these little guys. Very nice. Ooh, the Amber Elementals. These guys are a bit beefier than the rest of your opponents. But if you kill them fast enough, the cards that they drop are already pre-upgraded. So this is a really good opportunity to kind of pick up a highly upgraded version of a card that's only really good once it's been upgraded. Because there are a few cards in this game that like their base versions are just like kind of mid, but if you can upgrade them, they just become absolutely cracked. And so this guy, he has this Amber Infusion, so cards rewarded by this creature upgraded by 8, and this creature 0, the creature will vanish. So basically, you're trying to kick him? I guess you're kicking him, maybe. You're trying to kill him as quickly as possible so you get all these upgrades. So you see this Heavy Swing, now deals 24 damage. Sweeping Strikes deals 12, Reprisal deals 12. Heavy Swing, that's quite tempting still, but I'm just going to leave all of these. All great cards, but we're not really in the market for any of them. By the way, you might notice I'm kind of sometimes playing my cards so fast that the UI is just taking a second or two to catch up. I think this is a funny game where once you kind of know what you're doing, you can just sort of play ahead because you know what's going to happen later. All right, another level up. Strategist, no. Spike plating, no. We're not an armor build. War Priest, very good. Painbringer, we don't deal critical hits. Ooh. Insatiable Curiosity, draw 2 cards per round. That's even better than War Priest. Body of Steel, very tempting. I'm not going to take it though. So, okay. I'm one of the biggest Body of Steel stands in this entire game. I think you can make an entire build built around that card. Basically what it does is every time you heal, it gives you a shield that throws back damage to your opponent. So you can basically just make a build that deals almost no damage on its own. All it does is throw back damage at your opponent. And you just kind of sit there and let them kill themselves. It's pretty funny. So many card draw effects now. I'm basically not even finding my weapons anymore. Maybe I overdid it on the battle cries. Is that even possible? I can't believe I'm saying that. This is like one of my favorite cards in the entire game. Oh, okay. So we just got a Furious Recovery with 10 upgrades on it. So this one will give us 10 rally when we play it. Sorry. So I didn't really explain what rally does before, but let's say you have 1 rally and opponent plays a card, it'll reduce your rally by 1 and heal you for 1. So if you have 10 rally, your opponent like hits you for like 5 damage or whatever, you'll get healed for 10 and the rally will go down to 9. That is such a good card. That being said, I think we're already so stacked. We don't need that. Famous last words. We're gonna go to the right here, take the piece of hammer, put it in our pocket, go forward. Again, all of these things actually mean something. This game is far too complex for me to explain all of them, but through trial and error, you'll figure out what each of the little options do. More energy, more energy. So, again, for the 10th time going back on saying that I wasn't going to explain many boss mechanics. This boss, Viola, she's basically being mind controlled by that demon, the succubus. And she has this shield of Charmed that you have to get through before you actually start dealing any damage to her. Now, for most builds, this isn't really that much of a problem. But the thing is that if you have a build that relies on on-hit effects, while you haven't destroyed her charm, you're technically not hitting her, so your on-hit effects won't trigger. So that can be like super annoying if you have some kind of build that totally relies on cashing in on-hit effects. But you know what? That's not us. So we have quote-unquote killed her, which all that means is we have broken her bond with the demon, and she will now join us. Isn't that nice? Shrine of Chaos, and you know what, not really today. Collector, you know what, I'm actually just going to upgrade this Bull Rush and give it to the Collector. I don't really even care what it gives me. Hand over a card, here, take my last stand, I don't need this. And you get Wild Infusion, that's pretty mid, gotta be honest. Core level is the Deep. Okay, so now we enter the fishy deeps. Let's see if we can speed run this. I think you've already seen how our build works. Now it's just about getting to Dante, smashing his smug demon face down. So much card draw, so much energy. This is insane. Oh. I mean, this is why I love the warrior. Look at this. You have to take so many game actions. You just feel like you're doing something. I don't know, there's some builds like the Seeker, which are really, really weird. And I think if you're a bit more practiced at the game, they become a lot more interesting. But I think in my heart, deep in my heart, I've always just been big hammer smash kind of RPG player. You know, when you play Diablo, the class I always pick is like the Barbarian. Enchanter, view an enchantment. Let's get the Battle Vigor. Oh, Blacksmith, you can also upgrade my stuff for me. Let's go to these opportunities. No, that one's not good for us. The Barnacled Hag. Oh, so this is another opponent that has Ethereal, so if we don't kill her in one turn, she just kind of regenerates. So we need to establish a sequence here that will definitely get her down. But you know what? Just between you and me, I think we've got this. I'm not taking another Battlecry. You know I want to, but I think at this point we're verging off into the ridiculous. Infernal Contract, interesting card. Not good for this build, however. I'll take the gold. Give me that greed, come on. Let's transmute that greed. Let's get another Sanguine Scrying. Curse Kraken, mini boss of the deep. So this is another opponent you ideally want to get down as quickly as possible. Why do you want to get down as quick as possible? Because they have this mechanic where they grow. God, talking about enemy-specific mechanics when I said I wouldn't. They have this mechanic where they grow tentacles, and the tentacles, they like deal damage, and then they gain life. And if you don't do everything you want to do quickly enough, they'll just kill you. Lust for Battle, interesting card. I'm just going to skip it though. If we see something that's blue rarity or higher, I'll probably grab it just for the collector. That being said, I might have already skipped over some without really noticing it. Okay, just giving the game a moment to catch up here, and Clobber. So the one danger with Sanguine Scrying is obviously if you play too many of them in a row, you're just gonna pay all your health and you'll just like freaking die. Carnage could be interesting. Let's refresh though, there might be something better here. I'll take Master of Arms. Not that interesting, but it's something we can imbue later. The absence of anything else to imbue. Oh, already dead. I thought we were still going. Oh, okay, we're getting into the good talents now. Upgrade all basics after using your weapon power. That's not very good for us because our weapon power is quite a long cooldown. Boomerang, not super interesting. Strong Arms, like, okay. Just gonna take Thunder God's Blessing. I don't think any of these are really that great for our build. But you know what? None of them hurt our build. Shrine, upgrade a card. I'll upgrade the Scythe. I like the Scythe. Barnacled Hag again. Dead. Symbol of Unity, pretty cool card. It's not great for this build, I'd say. Symbol of Unity is really cool if you're trying to do like a all-color build with a knight or something. There's some like weird stuff you can do with the knight katana where you just play every single color in the game. can be a little bit gimmicky and pretty difficult to pull off because you're sort of combining strengths and weaknesses from so many different colors, and there's such a big card pool that it's really hard to not just get all the weaknesses without also getting all the strengths. Oh, there he is, Melkor. Let's kill him, and then we're off to the final level. So, if I weren't commenting this, I think if you're quite practiced, you can get a warrior build, a run probably done in less than 50 minutes. Obviously, because we're doing some nice explainers on the way, it's taking a little bit longer. But I think this game is very commute friendly, which is, to be honest, probably where I play it the most. I've got a nice long commute through the outskirts of London into the capital here. And, you know, basically, I was just looking for a game that would be really, really good to play. And I kind of saw this on the App Store and I was like, wow, this thing has some damn high ratings. I'm just going to give them Master of Arms. I don't really care. I'll download this. Honest Cathedral, the final core level, or you know what, I guess technically second to last level. I downloaded it. At first I played it and I was like, oh, this is so interesting. This game's just like revolutionized again what you can do on a phone. Yeah, if you're into this game and you're not already aware of it, this game has a really brilliant Discord with lots of players who are a lot more creative and a lot better at this game than I am, who will be able to give you lots of tips. There's like guides that people have made. There is essentially a Wikipedia for this game called Blightbane, which I believe is run by the developers. It must be run by the developers. That has every single card in the game in it, where you can just look stuff up. And if you basically just want to look up what sort of rarity cards there are available or what card transmute to what card, that's a great resource for it. So that's blightbane.io, I think. Just Google Blightbane, it'll show up. So by the way, this is the second to last level before we get to Dante. What's kind of special about this level is that there are 3 mini bosses rather than just one, or rather than just like a mini boss and a proper boss. There's kind of like 3/3.5 mini bosses, and all of them bestow some kind of curse on you, and until you have killed them, the curse will affect you in every fight in this level. So you're sort of incentivized to fight the mini bosses before you take on too many other opponents here. The mini bosses are ones like this, like the High Priest of Agony. So do you see at the top? Well, now it's gone actually. Do you see? Okay, do you see at the bottom these 3 faces? There's this one golden one, and then this one purple one, this red one. So one has already been converted into the aspect of compassion, but then we also have the Seal of Chaos and the Seal of Agony. So those are doing negative things to me at the moment, right? But whenever I kill one of these mini bosses, one of these negative things, so they do things like every turn you lose a card from your deck, not permanently, but for the rest of that fight. Or the other one, kind of like every card you play does additional damage to you. Every time you kill one of them, one of these bad things gets turned into a good thing. Ooh, we can clone a card here. I'm actually gonna get another Scythe. Blacksmith. Merchant. Body of Steel. I do like it. But no, nothing too tempting here. Shrine. Ooh, Shrine of Binding. I mean, this is actually kind of pointless. I probably shouldn't have even done this. Sure, whatever. You can be persistent. Let's take down the last mini boss, and then we can slowly head off to the boss. So
I would say that some of the early pickups that we got with this build that are still with us, like the scythe and that healing sword thing, as you can see, have been like super crucial to just sustaining us through this. And you definitely need some form of healing or sustain. Like maybe on normal difficulty with some builds, you can rely on the campfires alone just to get you through. I'd personally say that's a little bit risky because there are some enemies who can sort of just all of a sudden deal like 80% of your health to you out of nowhere. Oh, Battleborn. Yeah. That's a sick talent. I'm taking that. By the way, all of these windows that you saw there, whenever you click one of those, you get a little buff. The Risen Dreadlord. Let's see if we can't turn one kill this guy. Warmace power, get wrecked. Hellguard. So I'm basically just killing these enemies until I am presented with the portal to go fight the final big boss of the game. And he has a few things up his sleeve that can be quite nasty. However, I am relatively confident that our build is strong enough to take him. Enchanter. Do I even have any? I'm gonna memorize something. I memorize Sanguine Surge. So what memorize does, by the way, I don't think we've come across this yet. If a card in your deck is memorized, it will always be in your starting hand. This is like really good if you have some kind of combo in your deck. Or there's just some cards where if you were to play them first, they would sort of just, you know, set you rolling. Fine. I'm just gonna skip these Baylors. The thing is, at this point, we're not gonna level up again. I don't necessarily see the point of taking these fights that are not gonna do much for us. Okay, so this is the final confrontation against Dante, the big demon of the game. So we're going to skip through all this lore. We're going to go right at him. So let's see if we can't take him down in the first turn without ever passing. I think that is pretty easy. There we go. First turn, full health, dead. This cannot be, but it is. The demon bellows as its form starts to disintegrate. Goodbye, Dante. Goodbye. So, I hope that helped you learn a little bit about the game. I definitely have not delved into all the details that there are. There's a lot to learn about individual enemies, how to sequence certain things. This was just to kind of give you a rough overview of how to beat the game on normal with the most basic setup as the warrior. Please watch my other tutorials. I probably mentioned things in those videos that I did not mention in this one. And I really, really, really hope that you have a lot of fun playing this game. It's really amazing. Please check out the Discord. The developers are great. The rest of the community is great. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments or pop them into the Discord. The community is there for you. And good luck defeating Dante on your own.